Let's do this one step to improve your makeup routine. Hi, my name is Althea Gobble. I'm an independent Saint Beauty artist, and I am going to show you a way to change your makeup routine to improve the overall appearance and the results that you get at the end. Hey, Juliet. Hey, Jackie. Okay, so we're going to go and do one simple step, especially if you've been interested in learning something new with the Demi method and you're not sure where to go. Even if you wear foundation or concealer or contour, especially if it's in the cream family, I do this one step, and then once we get to that one step, then we can divide up. So if you just want to learn that one step and then use what you already have to get really good at that and then make a change after that, or get you to this one step and then I can show you how to use some Demi correctors to take it another step. So this is kind of like the first baby step with this concept. Ask any questions in the comments. I'll be glad to answer them. If you're watching on the replay, be sure to ask any questions. I love to help, love to teach it. I am not wearing any kind of primer or anything. I just have on my skincare moisturizer from Saint. I've already done my brows. I'm going to use these products here, but like I said, at the one part, the first step, once we get there, then I can explain, okay, so get you to this point. If you have these items and this is as far as you want to go with this concept, this is what you can do. And then if you want to go the other route with just some Demi correctors, I can tell you how to do that. But my whole purpose for this live today is just this very first step. And it will work both ways, especially if you're wanting to learn. These are the few brushes I'm going to use, plus my mascara. I have this shape brush. I have a little artist detail paintbrush, which I really love, and you can see it's really getting worn out. And I have the spot brush, and this one's black, even though the ones that we have on the website are silver and gold. This is just the spot brush. It's a nice little small ending brush. This one's black because the other one I have is dirty and this one's clean. So I got this one. This is just the one the company gave artists as some kind of incentive. So it's just the exact same brush that you see on the website. First of all, have you heard of the Demi method? Have you been interested in it? What is the makeup that you wear right now? Share with me in the comments. Okay, let's get started. I've already done my brows, and I use my brows with the brow wax and indigo contour. I love it. I like it because it fits in this compact. I don't have to have any additional anything. I can use water to activate it or a setting spray, either or. It's really easy to use. That would be the only additional brush I don't have right here with me, which is a spoolie. And hey, Megan, I know we need to explain, don't we? That was the best. If y'all don't, let me explain, Megan. It was the best thing ever. At conference, I shared a room with 3 other ladies, and I knew one of the ladies in the room and didn't know the other 3. I arrived later than they did, and they were already asleep in the room, so I didn't want to interrupt, and it was dark, so I just came in and did my skincare and put on my pajamas and got in this bed with someone I have never met. It was dark, and I thought, well, okay. So we got up the next morning, and well, I had gotten up, and she had already gotten up and went somewhere else, so I didn't know where she was. So I went down to get coffee early that morning, and I went to the bathroom there, and there was this lady getting ready, and I was using the bathroom, and I come out, and she goes, are you out there? I said, yes. She goes, hey, I'm Megan. We slept together last night. And I thought, oh, just died laughing, thinking if anybody was in the bathroom and heard our conversation, they would think, huh? It was the best. And I think that's the best story. And I have told that story to a lot of people, Megan. It's been the best. Yes, that was one of my favorite memories of the entire conference, is just that. And I'm so glad that we got to meet. And we'll have to do it again. Are you going to conference this time? It's in Atlanta. Okay, let's get started. So the very first step, no matter if you're using the 3D foundation with Saint Beauty, or if you... Yay, Megan! Good. I'll see you there too. I know, Jackie, I was like dying. Jacqueline, I'm sorry, I got you, Jackie. Hey, Mama. Okay, the very first step, no matter if you're wearing preferably not a liquid and not a powdered product to do this, I would highly recommend a cream. So if you don't have a cream, I can get you some, but you may already have some. So go to a cream contour that is what you need first, or a cream bronzer that you like. There's different shades that you can play with. And it truly is just an experimental stage that to find which color works for you. But go there first. That's what you need. A cream contour. You can use the sculpts if you already have them. Those are the colors with, I don't have any in my compact right now. The sculpts are the deeper browns, the neutrals with Saint. You can use those and a bronzer. Or if you have seen me, you could use the tanners, and I'll have more tutorials on those as well. The concept is always going to be the same. It's going to be a brown. It's going to be something that mimics some kind of depth or pigment, that kind of thing. So play around with the colors. I've used several different colors, several different sculpts, and the reason why I use so many different ones and demonstrate them is to show you that it's very versatile, not to be afraid to try and to experiment with different colors, and that many colors can work. And it's according to what mood I'm in that I'm going to use. So today I'm going to use a henna contour. So this henna contour is very olive, skin tone, that kind of thing. To me, it reminds me a lot of freckling on my skin. So I'm going to use henna today. I just did the tanner this past week using that method. I don't have any on now. I let it wear off and using my exfoliator, which I use every day. So it was very much in the olive, and I really, really liked it. So today I'm going to do the henna with you guys. So grab your cream contour, a cream bronzer, or a sculpt, and let's play with it. All it's going to do is add depth to areas that are light. This is the concept that will work with whichever path you want to go. Hello. So let's start there. The goal you want to do is train your eye, which will happen so quickly, because to find the light areas first. Now I know that sounds kind of odd, but we're so drawn, our eyes, and it's automatic. It's an automatic thing, is drawn to something dark, a distraction, a shadow, because that's got depth to it, and so we are drawn to look at it first. So quickly you will learn to switch and focus on what is making that area dark. So this side of my face, especially this side, this is much darker. This is very much of a shadow and a hollow part. And when I go back and look at my pictures when I was younger, even a small child, I always had that. It's always darker on this side. It's freckling, it's the way I'm shaped. So as I have aged, I am 53, and as I have aged, this gets more pronounced. So why does it get more pronounced? Well, we lose blood supply as we age, and we lose collagen. So any kind of blood vessels or pigment that was already there is now everything else around it is getting lighter because it's getting thinner skin, so it's more pronounced. So it's not that it got darker, it's what's around it got lighter. Especially if you do any kind of skincare, even if you don't, anyone that has a significant amount of sun damage, that you're going to have darker pigment due to sun damage, but what's going to happen, you're going to end up with some very light patches due to scarring, and sun damage can also look like light pigment. So the thing that changes over time is the areas that are light get lighter, and this is where we want to focus. What we're trying to do is a technique that photographers use called dodge and burn. So we are going to dodge the dark areas and burn the light areas. And what this is going to do is level out the differentiation between light and dark and give it more balance. Okay, so like in this area right here, this is a very light area. You can see there's a light here, and it's making, I'll zoom in. This is, ooh, I got a new little stand here, and it just, okay, we're going to dance a little bit. Okay, this right here, this little light patch makes this more pronounced. So adding some color here, it's hard to believe that that will work without making you look like you have been punched in the face. But it does. It's all about how much product you're using and even the color. That's the reason why experimenting is going to help. So this little light patch, right in here, right in this little area, this is making everything around my eye be more pronounced in the dark. Now this is also going to work especially around my mouth, where I have a lot more ups and downs and ridges and that kind of thing. And it will, when you're focusing on, see I have an area right here, it's a pigment, and then a light spot and pigment. And sometimes I get a little red right here according to skincare or that kind of thing. So it's a little red patch, but you see this light here and this little light strip there. So it just kind of distracts and disrupts the look of an even plane. So when we correct the light areas with very minimal product, and it takes very little, and it actually makes the entire process of a full face makeup completely easier and quicker, and you use such less product doing it that way. So the other thing I want you to consider is this: in the beard area, if you have significant sun damage here and it's fairly dark here compared to your neck, that's where we're going to do something a little different. So I'm going to get you to that path first. If you have significant color here and light here, hang tight. You're not going to look like, you should not look like you're very dark once you fill in all the light spots and then a fair neck. There's a way to create balance by doing this. So every face is different. So you can watch me do it, and the goal is that you go and just analyze and play along with it, that you will find your areas that are light, and it's going to be different than mine. And no, have your tanner, have your tanner on so we can see what the areas would need to be darkened. Thank you, Jacqueline. I appreciate that. I don't have any on now. I've let it wear off because I was prepping to go live without it on so you can actually see my skin. My goal is to give you a step in this process because I have a lot of questions on the Demi method. I wear it every day, and I think no matter if you like a foundation, a lot of ladies, some that I've done this past week, they love their foundation and their cream contour, but they're just something they just cannot get a balanced tone or look. And this concept, this one step, changed that for them. And that's the reason why it's a great first step to get you think differently. Traditional methods have been around for a very long time, and there's a lot of people that teach it. and you can learn from them from doing that as well if that's your interest. But I find that I get more benefit on myself and the ladies I do in person and the ladies I work with virtually, that they get exactly what they want learning this new concept. So the last thing I'm going to say before I get started is people ask, well, why not just, this seems so complex. First of all, that's not complex to me now. It is complex because it's thinking differently. So I had to unlearn a lot of things that I did traditionally, and my eyes had to learn how to, what to expect. If I tried to do this method and make it like other products, it's not going to work. So why bother? Why bother trying something else? This is the reason. So you really have to decide what it is that you want. I wanted very little product on my skin. Once I gravitated to this concept and started liking it, I started getting addicted to feeling like I have nothing on my face. And I really like that. So that's the reason why I continue. So if that's something that you're interested in and want to feel less on your skin, this is a great method to do. The other thing I really like is it's never creasing and it never settles in my lines. And if that's something you're interested in, this is something you should try. And the other thing, the reason why I do this is I like the concept that it doesn't look like I have makeup on my skin. It's nice to have pretty makeup and say, oh, what pretty makeup, but in myself, I don't want that. I just want it to be me, and my skin is not the best. And so this, if I added something that gives me texture, especially being 53, I don't want that. It almost makes me feel like I look older when you see product on my skin. There's so many interruptions on my skin already. I don't want that. Especially when there's an option that gives me that I don't have to have that. I don't have to settle for makeup texture to feel like I look differently. I rather look like myself with very little on my skin. And this is the reason why I do this, because I've seen it on ladies. I've seen ladies learn it and master it. And I've seen it on so many different skin types. So yes, I'm going to continue to teach it, and I'm going to continue to learn new ways and share them with you. Okay, so that's why. So sit down and think to yourself, what is it that you really want, okay? And go from there. And that will tell you, okay, this is something I want to learn. All right, we're going to start this first step, and this is adding color in the light areas. I'm going to start with something very small brush. This is a spot brush, and I'm just going to start with my eyes. It doesn't really matter where you start however you want. It doesn't matter at all, because nothing is going to layer or go over top of it, that kind of thing. And there's a couple other things you could do. You could add bronzer all over if that's what you like, and only do this on the under eyes. Totally will work, because we're using pigmented product, using it minimally, and we're not overlapping. So I'm going to start with the under eyes, because a lot of you ladies could do just one step and then do the rest of your makeup the same without layering over top of it. So if you just want to watch that part, here it is for you. So I am going to start with the under eyes, and I'm going to start with a henna contour and the spot brush. And the goal is not to dive into the product. You just want to tap and just get a little bit on there. I'm going to focus on just light areas and tap and brush. You don't want to do the pointy area. You want the flat edge next to it, next to your skin. And you will see very quickly how this is getting more in balance, and it doesn't look like a black eye. And I'm just focusing in on tiny little light spots. Now, don't worry if you struggle finding it. If you missed it and you feel like you created a whole lot of, like a brown spot, either you went over an area or you used too big of a brush and you went over an area that was dark, or you got too much product, either tap it with your finger or use a tapping motion with the other end of a double-ended brush, or you went over an area that was dark. I think I already said that. But very quickly, just by trial and error, you will quickly learn to see the light spots. Do you see how that's just already more imbalanced and more even? And see what happens, instead of looking more textured and not smooth and not balanced, this actually gave me more volume in my under eye, because it gives the illusion that the skin is thicker because it has depth of color in it. You always want to turn side to side and to get different angles. And I'm just really concentrating. I have a bad habit of talking, and I just really want you to see how I am very quickly finding the light areas. All right, do you see that dark spot that I have there? I didn't go over it. Typically, if you have something very, very dark, see like this vein, right next to it, there will be a light spot. And that's the reason why it stands out to you, because there is a light spot right next to it. Now, this may not disappear, make the dark completely disappear. It's not what we're looking to do. We're not looking to make all the dark disappear. We're trying to minimize the contrast between light and dark. Then, one little tiny dot of a filter color with my demi correctors, and is going to be completely minimized. So do you see how that already, very little product on my skin, already this is a lot smoother and looks as if I've created product and applied product everywhere. And you can't do that with a concealer. Okay, again, I'm just using a little bit of the henna and a little tiny brush and tapping in light areas. So let's say you just want to do this step. See that little area right there? Sometimes I get very red right there. It's according to, sometimes my skin gets reactive right there if exfoliating, plus I shaved a little bit with a Tinkle razor, and with my exfoliation, it's nothing raised, it's just redness. So again, a lot of us ladies have that. Do you see right next to it, this light area? It takes about a day after my skin does that to go away. But within that area, there's a couple little light spots, and I'm just tapping. And notice you do not see product that I'm getting on the skin, because I'm using the brush so minimally. And see, look how much that doesn't stand out as strong anymore. And you saw how I just kind of bounced around a couple of light areas, and already this area is getting more toned, and that's what I want. I'm not going to lose all the variation of skin tone or skin color and all the different colors that occur. Now see how that got kind of dark? It's because I'm getting heavy-handed, so I'm tapping away. So let's say you just want to do the under eyes and do the rest of yours the way you normally do. Can you do that? Yes. You would not go over anything here, especially if you have very textured under eyes like I do. You could do everything like I did right here with the under eyes, then go back in with a filter and take out a couple of darks and do everything else that you're used to and just learn the concept with your under eyes. Start there, okay? That's a great step to learning this concept. All right, now if you want to go a step further, we're going to keep watching. Remember that little light area I'm talking about here? See that already is a lot more tone. See this red here, and it looks like there's a bullseye of a light area there. Notice it's a little bit bigger than some of these tiny spots. So I could take this bigger end of this brush and just lightly tap. I mean, I'm barely touching the product, and just get a little bit there. There's not really, it's just like a whole area that's kind of light and not a lot of pigmentation around it. And do you see how that is already more toned? Then do you see what happened? That it helps the look of aged skin. It's not going to get rid of my wrinkles. It's not going to get rid of any of that, but it does help make it have more of an even plane. Also, what happens, I don't have to contour or have that concept of contouring anymore. It's naturally showing the cheek structure because the color is more in balance. And that little spot here, plus with this additional color, now this is just more in balance. Again, I could do the same thing right in here, coming down. Do you see how quickly this comes together? So this little jowl here, now I, on this side, do not have a lot of excess color here. But if you have a lot of pigmentation or melasma in this area and a light neck, then I would not try to fill in all the spots here and create it underneath the cheekbone to create a tone, more even balance between light and dark, because this just might get darker and then your neck is lighter. So the neck is more likely what your skin should look like. So that's when you would just go to an area, so you underneath the cheekbone, and then this entire area you would tone with a color. If you want to do foundation, you could do a little foundation toning right here very, very lightly. I did that on a customer the other day in a previous tutorial, so go check it out. And just right in the beard areas where we added that, because they had some pigmentation here, but their neck is actually lighter. So their actual skin tone was light and not the dark. So we toned that area, but then left everything else with added color like I'm doing now. Did that help? Then in this area, if you want to use the demi correctors, you would do a little less here. Just add a couple of areas, and then we're going to tone, and then you would filter out the dark. Okay, this side I don't have that much of pigmentation, but I do right here in this jowl, because it comes down and catches light. There's a couple of little light spots right in this jowl. And when I do that, do you see how it's giving me more of an even plane? Coming back to this little red spot. And a tiny brush will keep you behaved and in control. So look how that is already, this side of my face, a lot more toned, and it looks more even. Did that help so far? And with this little stand, it's just like wiggly wiggly. Now I'm going to go on to my nose. I really love this concept on my nose because I have a very textured nose. See that little light spot, and then dark, and then light, and this, so it just kind of creates this bumpy nose. See, I got too much product. I can tap it with my finger. I think it's the reflection of light areas, but there is. I do see it. And what you can do is bounce around, let the skin settle from being touched, because it's going to get red, and bring oxygen to the skin, so it kind of gives a little bit of additional color. So let it calm down. But what I don't think is a good idea is to zero into every little small thing, because you can become frustrated, and I don't want to lose a complete variation of color. You see how I just went back to the eye and touched something, just because I'm trying to create a balance. And do you see that looks very even skin tone and looks just like my skin? I do not have it doesn't look one shade, but it looks in balance. And that's what the concept is here, is being more balanced. So if I'm not talking and explaining this concept, this first step is actually the part that is the most dominant step in my makeup routine. And I would say this takes me, when I'm not talking or explaining, every morning takes me probably 10 minutes, and then the rest is 5 minutes. So I know there's things out there that you could have your makeup done in 3 minutes, and that's great. You can do that. I don't think I'm at the stage in my life that 3-minute makeup is going to benefit me. I have issues. I need to take a little more time than 3 minutes. And I don't think, no matter what process of makeup in my entire life, that I've ever just taken 3 minutes. But there are some, you can put something all over and walk out the door. Some people are that have that benefit. However, I don't. Okay, now right here on my nose, do you see how just this side already? So now I'm going to go to my lip area. Now, it's very common for a lot of us to have melasma. I have lines and some freckling. So what happens as we age, your lip collapses and comes down. So as it comes down, it's catching more light. To help bring the lip back up and lift it, recessing it with a little bit depth of color, helps bring back some volume to that area. Right next to your lip, this color to here should be on the same level of intensity of color, instead of a white line or a dark line all the way across. So I really focus on, this is something new recently that I have learned from Kara, not from my own knowledge, but learning and practicing it. Do you see how this gave this more volume on this side? Then do you see this light here? This gives my lip more lift here and helps with the shape. It shows more of the shape of my lip than having dark lines around, especially having lines already around my mouth. Down here, same concept on the outer perimeter. I have a very textured chin. Do you see that little light spot? I'm going to go on top of it and barely touch it with this, and it gets rid of that raised bump. And I promise you, very quickly, you will learn to see the light spots so easily. See how I'm coming back to my eye right here? Now that's a lot of reflection of light, but it is great to turn at different angles and I like how it's giving me the shape around my eye. Okay, I'm not looking to create one color underneath my eye at all. I just want it to be more in tone and balance of color, so it shows my actual shape. I had to get rid of that thing. Then it comes another one. There we go. All right, now I'm going to go on to above my forehead area. It's very common right here above your brows to have a white line. That's just from wear and tear on the skin. Just like the nose right here in the top part of our nose, we get sun damage. We get a lot of light spots. Same thing with above the brow. There's typically some white areas. Now, some ladies that I have done in person or virtually, their forehead is a pretty even skin tone, and it's just a lighter entire area. Then they can take the bronzer or the contour and just use a bigger brush and do the whole area. Parts of mine is like that, and part is not. I like using the 05 plus with the contour on my forehead, but next to my brow, I do like to take a little more time right here. Now I'm going to show you, let's see, I'm going to use the bigger end of this brush right here and use the henna more widespread, because it's basically more of a larger area that's light and not too many tiny light spots. Okay, so basically have this side of my face done, except for my chin. I'm going to go back to my chin right here. Okay, so now I'm just going to do half of my face and then show you. That way you can see the full effect and not be here forever and a day, because I'm talking and teaching at the same time, and that way you can see the difference. How about that? Okay, so let's say you got this step done. This is the first step that I would like for you to try, no matter which method that you're using. Okay, so now let's say you've got it more even here. Do you see that? It's more even skin tone. Do you see I had all of this variation of color here and over here as well. And do you see how this is more even tone? I do have a couple of places that need filtering out, but I'm not focused on those. I wanted the entire area to be more balanced. No matter which angle that you turn, do you see how I've got more of an even tone than here? And we have all of this disruption, and so you don't see my face structure because of it. Okay, so now let's say you've gotten to this step and you want to just learn that one. Then you can pick up your foundation, like a highlight color, and you would not want to go too light, like I said earlier about your neck area. You can use a color very sparingly with a very silky brush. Try to go small and just very lightly tone areas that you may have redness or dullness with the foundation. Very, very light hand, just going over those areas. I would not do any underneath the eye. I would just keep it very minimal and just tone the area, and then stop there, add cheek color, do your eyes, your lips, and you're done. If you want to go more of the the demi route, you would continue watching. So now I'm going to take a little bit of 05 using the shape brush and get a little bit of color here, okay? And I like to add a little in the shadowed areas, and I'm using very little pressure because I'm just wanting to add some warmth. And do you see how that added warmth there? And I like to add this 05 to my fair neck. Now this is something you can do too if your neck is really fair. And I like to add it to my forehead right up here where I have blue veins, and to my temple. So this orange is dropping in warmth, and even though I put it over areas up here on my forehead where this is more of a neutral, this is just going to warm up those light areas in between there and make it a little warm. And I can also tap it very, very lightly on my nose. And remember, I have very little product on, so I'm not really shifting and moving and blending. Now I'm going to do a cheek color. See how quickly, see that adding the color was the biggest step of everything. Now I'm going to use this color called Pink Lemonade. Give me all the pinks. And this is a cream cheek color. And I'm just going to tap wherever I want. Now that redness, I'm going to stay away from it. I almost went over top of it. I like taking a little next to the eye, especially if I had a lot of lightness underneath my eye, because this is going to mimic blood flow and what I have lost in that area. So just a little hint of a flush of color. Love it. Now I'm going to do my eyes really quick. I'm going to use Indigo Contour, and I'm going to use the small brush, and I'm going to do the exact same concept with Indigo Contour for my eyes. Instead of doing an eyeshadow, I am structuring out and my eyes touching light spots where it would benefit the structure of my eye, especially right there in the pocket because it's coming down. See how this helps structure out my nose. See how this just comes forward. This is widening due to age, and the skin shifts and moves. I'm not putting this in areas of creasing. Relaxing my eye. See how that skin comes down right there, and it shifts and moves as I touch it. So I want to use very minimal product, but I wanted to add a little depth to that light skin hanging down. And I'm really just following the bone. You can do this with an eyeshadow. I did this with Shauna the other day on a tutorial, 2 tutorials back, so go check it out. Just using Trust eyeshadow. So this is the same concept. I am using the bone here. The skin is what's fallen. It's fallen and catching all kinds of light in different little areas. And I'm using that same idea of only touching light areas, and see how that structures out my eyeball there. And here, and here. I want a little depth right out there. See how the skin falls down right there? I don't want it to put it in the wrinkle because it's just going to crease. I mean, that is physics, that's anatomy. There's nothing you can do about it. Adding more product onto your eyes is just going to give you more texture, and I don't want that. Hey, Kim. All right, do you see? Okay. Now, I'm going to use that Indigo Contour on my lips right here in the center and a couple little light areas. So I have some freckles. See that dark right there? Just a hint. I'm not much of a lipstick wearer, but I love lip oils, and I love tinting my lips with these colors or a lip tint. But this is one step I always do. And again, I'm just doing half of my face. Now I'm going to take a little bit of the pink lemonade and got too much on my finger. There we go. Now I want to take my little bitty brush and I'm going to filter out all the dark points that are now not as prominent as they were before. Honestly, the underneath my eyes, sometimes now I find I do so much less after doing this step of adding color. I do so much. If I keep doing things underneath my eyes, I end up going backwards and losing what I have. I do so much less now, taking out the dark underneath my eyes than I did before, and I like it better. The least amount of product on my under eyes, the better. So I'm going to start there, and you can see I did add color, but there is always going to be typically a little bit of depth in that dark area that was already there, and so now we're going to subtract the color. So we added color in light areas, now we're subtracting, but it's a lot easier to do in the dark areas. I'm going to use something in this area around the eyes. Typically it's going to have some blood vessels or something like that in behind it, plus some pigment, with 3 correctors, Y01, O3, and a red. A lot of ladies in the medium to the fair skin tone can play with these 3 colors in different ways on the under eyes. When you get more into the richer skin tones, you would just use Y01 or the OY1, that one looks mostly yellow, even NY-1, and sometimes there's some that's so dark we need O5 to filter out. I have some ladies that O5 works really well on. I'm just going to use just a hint of Y01, and I got too much on my brush because I saw it on the bristles, but you just lightly want to tap. The product can be very soft, so be very light-handed, and I'm going to go directly on top of the darkest spot. And if you've got too much product, just tap it away with your finger. And you see how that's very much in tone. This right in here is already a color that was there, but I want to bring it in balance to the color that I added next to it. So I'm going to balance that out. Do you see how that looks a lot more even, plain? This little blood vessel over here, it's not going to go all the way because it's mostly dark, so I'm going to use the O3 and just the tiniest dot. I mean tiny dot. Do you see how that is gone? So this little thing right here, it is very red, so that's mostly violet always. You'll never use a green, and I will never recommend a green. Never using a green corrector. It'd be extremely rare. So I'm just lightly dotting right on that. So I use very little product. And I want to let it rest from being touched, and if there's still a little bit of color there, which I mean that's pretty much gone, if there's anything left, it would be just a little bit of depth of color, and you would always drop to O3 for anything with depth or shadow. Out here to the red area of my cheek, now it's really and truly, I'm not going to touch every little tiny red spot on it. I'm just going to touch the darkest ones and then let it rest, because it is an area that just from being touched will get aggravated and turn red, and then I'll feel like I have to keep doing more. If I take out what's the darkest first and then leave some of it and then look away and focus on something else, that you find you when you look back and say, wait, I really Okay, that looks pretty good. It looks pretty even. It looks like most of it's gone. It's because your eyes have, uh, your eyes are going to be drawn to what's the darkest, and whatever is related to that similar darkness, your eyes will think is there. So when you take out the darkest, then what was similar to it, but not as dark as it was, it will go back into the background and you won't see it as much anymore. So it'll look like you did the entire area. So that's how it works. It's training the eye. That's the reason why just touch and go. Don't get over focused, hyper focused. The more you touch, the more frustrating you're going to get, and you feel like you have to do more, and that you're just going to end up having a bunch of product on your skin, and you're back to square one, what we're trying to prevent. So I'm still just using that Y01, and I'm just targeting the darkest little red, violet spot. And then I will do a little bit of 03. I always start with Y01 first, and then move away to just shadowed areas. And see, I've let that calm down and come back and change it at a different angle. And then if you've gotten too much product after it's settled down, you'll see it. You'll just kind of tap it with your finger, which is common to do. Get a little heavy-handed at first, and that's not a bad thing. You'll eventually become very minimal with it. Oh, guys, I really love this stuff. This is the reason why I'm doing this. All right, so now I'm going to take a little bit of 03, just a hint at the dull, muddy little spots around a couple of little areas, especially in the lip area. Okay, so this little dude has just a hint, and it's underneath it because it's a little bit raised. So I'm going to go underneath it and touch under it with the 03. And you see that took out that shadow of it. And there's a vein that goes right through here. See how it just looks kind of dull and shadowy. I don't want to get rid of all the shadow, just the depth, the darkest part of it. See, it gives me more of a cheek. Okay. Around my nose, right in here in this shadowed area, there's some broken capillaries. I added color in between those broken capillaries, but there's a little depth of the color, so I take away depth with the 03. Okay, now I can stop there. I'm going to do one little step that I think will benefit a lot of ladies, especially if you're in the medium to the fair skin tone, right here in this little area, right on top of that bone. It gives the illusion of this, due to age, this comes down. We have this a little bit of like it's been punched right there. And it's what it ends up being is very dull sun damage. Sometimes it's hollowness, a loss of volume there. So one way to correct that is create the illusion of something very, very light here. But you want to use something that's going to subtract the pigment that's in that area. That means a red. So if you're in the medium to the fair skin tone, a red one works great. Richer skin tones stick to 03s to the Y01. If it's super dark there, you're just going to use a little bit of super dark right there. You want to use like OY1 if there's pigment that you can see. I'm going to use just a hint. Notice how I use my brush on here. I'm not diving into the product. These tins will last you a couple of years. Good for you. All right, so look, I'm just going to find it, and I can kind of look, and it's just right here is the slightest shadowed, and what it is pigment, and it gives the illusion of right there. Okay, done. Put on mascara and I would be finished. That is the way I would do it every morning. So I hope that very first step of adding depth of color to the light areas first, and then learn that step, and then decide which path you want to go as you're learning that first step. So I highly encourage you just to, whatever process you're using now, whatever products you have now, grab a contour cream, not powder, not a liquid, a cream or a sculpt or a bronzer. Even if you have a few colors, I think going to the warmer colors is more beneficial, and just add the color to the light areas first. Then from there you can decide, okay, do I want to use just a little bit of my foundation to tone, or do I want to go ahead and use the Demi Corrector concept? All right. Thank you for joining in. I'm going to finish this other half and I will share my before and after. If you have any questions and if you need any help being color matched and needing guides to how to use this, if you do not have an artist that you can reach out to me, I can send you a link. When you get color matched by me, you will get graphics and you'll get detailed tutorials on placement, and then we can troubleshoot as you're learning. Please let me know if you would like that. If you want to just go ahead and grab some of these and play along, you can go to altheagobble.com. To be color matched, you go to yes.altheamatchme.com, or you can send me a message and I'll send you a link. Thanks for joining in. I'm going to finish up and watch for the before and after. Thanks for joining.